This is the first time. Well, thank you, YouTube. Speaking about good. Poof. No, I have to do it like that. Okay. Um, so, hi there, it's Shirley. And my first live, and I'm very excited. I'm like a little girl, kind of excited. Um, because I able to go live on YouTube without having like the million subscribers that they require, which is amazing. Just because my memory card went like full. Then I tried my computer and it was also not working, and now I'm like, oh, I have this now. So that's very interesting, and I was thinking to do a Venus wisdom on a Venus day. So I'm gonna try to show you right here. I have this Venus altar, and the incense kind of went out, but put some myrtle in it, and I began to do this planetary invocation, which is a very mild form of introduction to planetary magic. It does not, like, I don't create any talismans, or I'm not doing like any serious ceremonies that could invoke like a planet when it's not well aspected or something like that. So this is Venus Wisdom on a Venus Day. It's a Friday, and so excited. We can do live. This is so amazing. So I was thinking about, like, earlier today, a couple of things. One is we do have the nodes in the Taurus Scorpio axis. So this series of eclipses, of 1.5 years of eclipses in the Taurus Scorpio axis tropically, is a lot about going from surviving to thriving. So the Venus, like invoking Venus or working with Venus, asking Venus to have healthy, safe relational patterns, that can be very good to do. Um, Thinking about who I am without all my psychological traumas that are, like the Scorpio, whatever is Scorpio related in your chart, whatever planets you have there, or Mars and Pluto, and how are they, what are they aspecting in your chart. This is also a phase where you could get like eclipsing traumas, or kind of healing, or getting a deeper insight, or healing core issues that can be very transformative. I'm not saying it's easy, but there is the thrive end. And Venus is ruling both Taurus and Libra. Libra sidereally is in the Keto side right now, and also tropically, because the Keto is not just the house and sign, but also the signs next that are closest, and that would be Libra even tropically. And Venus in Libra is about sort of making sure everybody is pleased in this relational circle. So its way of going about relations is people pleasing, being sociable, being attuned to their needs, which is a very important quality. Don't forget, it's the other pole of the Mars ruled Aries, and that's huge. That being said, the downside is people pleasing, so they can forget themselves while doing that. And Venus in Taurus is tactile, so hugs, kisses, intimacy that is physical. The voice, expressing your voice, singing, beautifying things. Although Libra is a lot about beautifying things, but Libra is like, if you think about Libra and beautifying things, it can be like feng shui, because it's about arranging the things in the order that keeps the energy flowing in such a way that there is harmony in the home. Let's say you have, I don't know, Libra in the fourth house or something like that, or and the ruler, let's say in your second or in your third, that you could be doing feng shui. With Taurus, it's about arranging your environment so that which is a part of feng shui, but it's not these concepts, like, so that your self pleasure, sensuality, sense of self worth shines. What do I mean by that? Making sure your shower has a lot of beautiful scents. Making sure you know the crystals that you want to wear next to your bed. That would be the kind of like devotional indoors decoration that Taurus would offer. It's kind of like put the things in the place where your sensual pleasure is. You know, if you would ask, you know, a Libra what to put in their bedroom, they would have like a sign of harmony and balance to make sure that the relations are in balance, that the communication is good, and they would pick, I don't know, whatever artifact or crystal signifies that, or direction of sleep. If you would ask a Taurus what to put next to your bed, it's like my crystal dildos, my jade eggs, my you know, my anointing oil, my erotic oil, my coconut oil. Then they're like, you know, those simple things, those supposedly practical things, but those things that directly relate to how am I going to silk sheets or whatnot, how am I going to feel, touch, taste, and enjoy the sensual and tactile pleasure of being there. Okay, so if you ask a Venus in Libra how to manifest cash, they may turn to your mindset, to your attitude, to your affirmations, positive affirmations. If you ask a Taurian, it's like, okay, you know, Kundalini rise, a tantric experience perhaps, or but it's not going to be just energy. It's like a tantric experience, and you put this, I don't know, mojo bag with these herbs again, a more earth thingy, earth element, and depending on the herb, but you know, more matter aspect, matter magic. That would be a Venus in Taurus. So Friday is ruled by Venus, that is ruling both Libra and Taurus. If you want to work with the energy of the current eclipse pole, which is the Scorpio Taurus, but it's also the Libra Aries, you want to make way for where Rahu, the North Node, is heading. So the North Node is heading to Taurus, or sidereally to Aries. That means that if you're working with Venus from a Libra point of view, you might be wanting to work on letting go of people pleasing in favor of what's in Aries, or in favor of what's in Venus in Taurus, and work from the Taurus perspective to welcome in the new, and to do like letting go, cord release if that works for you. Mention the word release, not cutting. Cutting is more like Mars thing. And those can be great ideas to work with Venus, or with the energy of Venus. It can be done, by the way, regardless of Venus. So let's say you can do it on a Friday, on a Venus hour, but you don't necessarily have to invoke Venus, because you don't want to necessarily bring the planetary power unless you're already knowing how to check if Venus is well aspected right now. I mean, okay, Venus is in Cancer. It's very good for the emotional aspect of connection. Okay, essential connection that is also an emotional connection. Great thing to do. But then the moon is decreasing, you know? So if you do that with the Venus, you know, if you then perhaps you would say, I would want to let go of an emotional overflow, of the excess of emotions, or the excess of, you know, whatever grudges I may have, or something like that. That can be okay. But if you actually are going to like invoke Venus, or trying to charge something with the energy of Venus today, it's like the moon is diminishing. I think it's not even aspecting Venus, so it's like not even aspecting the energy of Venus. But if you do, let's say, a cord release ceremony, and you don't invoke Venus, you just do that Venus related activity, and then you're releasing something that is of the past. releasing of patterns. Or if you do invite, set intention to have healthy relational patterns, safe connections. Um, that is always a good thing. That like this is always a good intention. You will let go of what you need to let go. You will welcome in what you need to welcome in. So that's another Venus thingy. What happened for me, this is a personal experience. What happened to me after I did the altar, though, I said, okay, I'm gonna look at Venus stuff on YouTube, and then I was just turning to like herbal magic, and then I was like, why herbal magic? Like I was going to do Venus stuff. And it's like no, Venus, Taurian Venus is very related to herbal magic because it's earth, the element of earth, and this is considered earth magic. So I was like, oh, cool. Like I didn't know that. um, so when you're doing this slightly planetary invocation, aside of your setting intention to learn more about the planet, to do something, to show your appreciation, to, I don't know, do something related to the planet, you can also find yourself like feeling drawn to certain things that you didn't even know are of the planet significations. And you want to pay attention to that because that's a good way to create healthy synchronicities that are both conscious and intuitive. Venus wisdom. So Venus, I want to do like Venus with the planets. And Venus, and I want to do Venus with the planets that is not so like. So let's say Venus with Saturn. So Venus with Saturn, harmonious aspects. This should probably be like a series of videos or be cut into series of videos. I don't know, but let's see. Venus and Saturn, like harmonious aspects, the trine, the sextile, can be just a mature approach to relationship, seeking enduring connections, enduring sensual tactile pleasures. So, from the Taurus aspect, it can be something that is building up gradually, a lot of dedication, perhaps to beautifying things, perhaps to decorating things, perhaps to your business or opening a business and understanding it's a long-term ride and it's daily dedication and it's commitment and it is something that you repetitively do. And just to have this notion. So it can be a person who is more inclined to long-term connections. Person that perhaps their sensual pleasures have to do with a desire that even if it's not like, I don't know, a marriage relationship or a long-term commitment, that it will be a long-term connection. Even with the lover or even with the cosmetician, another Venus-related issue. It's like, I have my cosmetician, I have my person, or I have my hairdresser. I don't go to anybody else. That can be a lot of Venus-Saturn thing. Whereas Venus-Uranus would be like different thing, different person, different thing, different style, whatever. Venus-Saturn hard aspects are like, it takes a while to, from the Venus perspective, she doesn't understand why does it need to take so long. Like, what does Saturn want from her? She just wants to have fun, to enjoy, to connect, to do business, to beautify, and Saturn's like, oh, but is this makeup mineral? Oh, but is this makeup ethically sourced? And Venus like, oh, with the harmonious aspect, just like, oh, that's good thing to do. With the disharmonious aspect, it's like, what? It's like, I'm supposed to pay. How am I gonna buy this ethically sourced thingy? And then Saturn go, well, you have that in, I don't know. name it, eBay or Amazon, in so and so. It's like, you're offering me to buy an ethically sourced makeup in Amazon. That can be a sort of like a Venus Saturn hard aspects, where it's like, thank you for the like, thank you for being there. You can Write the comment. I don't know if I can. Yeah, just write the comment hi so I can see where do you even see comments. Oh my gosh, I'm probably going to do so many more videos with this live thingy. Um, so that, the hard aspects can be from the Venus perspective, like why are you putting all these, you know, and from the Saturn perspective, it can be why like this thing needs to be done. Why does it have to be pleasurable? Why does it have to be something, this needs to be done. We need to trim the lawn. You don't have to, okay, I have to abide by communities. Like I cannot say overly centralized things. Like we're not making love. We're just trimming the lawn. And from the Venus perspective, like it has to be enjoyable. It has to be sensual. It has to be beautiful. And the Saturn's like it has to be done. And Venus like, but it's an orgasm, for example. And so the Saturn, uh, it will take time for a good resolution for this conflict. That with the trine or the sextile, you could get it like, oh, of course, let's say I have a business, so, and it's even beauty related business, so it's like I'm gonna do my taxes, my bills, my Excel sheets on Saturn hours, and hello there. Feel free to write something in the comments below. So it's like I'm gonna do those things in the Saturn hours or in Saturdays. I'm gonna dedicate the whole Saturday for so and so. It's like with the sextile and the trine, it's like it's obvious that that's what you're going to do. But with the hard aspect, it's like, why does it have to be pleasurable? You just have to do that, and it's like, come on, like, how am I supposed to coerce myself to do something that's not pleasurable to me? But it's like, but it's paying taxes. You just have to pay taxes. You don't have, you don't orgasm around it. You don't pleasure yourself around it. You just pay the damn taxes. Um, and then they go this back and forth until the solution that can often be simple is like, okay, so we can pay the taxes in the Saturn hour, which is very Venusian, right? We can come to a mutual agreement, and in the Venus hour, we're going to take our time with tactile pleasure. So what's very obvious for the harmonious Venus Saturn aspect is like, how do we even get there with the hard aspects? It can even be the same solution, but it takes a while to get there, and it takes maturity to get there. And the Venus is kind of like, okay, so I have this time slot, so this 1 hour I just have to do things that are just need to be done. There's no sensual pleasure about that, and that's okay. And then in those times it's like, oh, I'm going to use Saturn. I'm going to take time with my tactile pleasures. Cool. I'm going to do long videos. you know, cool. So that's a Venus Saturn. It can be in terms of self-criticism, so and self-value. It can mean that with the harmonious aspects, it's like um, perhaps more self-awareness, perhaps more elegance, even more like the kind of people who would pay attention to what they wear and what they project and what is revealing and when is revealing and how much to reveal. That can be a harmonious aspect, kind of like the traditional, or paying attention to tradition in your styling. With the hard aspects, it can be um, more difficult. It's like it can be like even an argument of like, I want to wear this dress, and it's like, oh, but this dress is too revealing, and I'm like, I'm okay with my body, it's a beautiful body, but this is a business meeting, you don't want to be too revealing. It's like, you know, my body, my rules. But this is a business meeting. They're from China. They don't know about this feminist thingy. You just don't want to come across, in that way. And that can be like the sort of arguments that are very difficult to come into a solution that seem very practical. It's like when you go to meet people that are not from your culture, perhaps it's not the time to do my body, my rules. You're not slut walking. But when you go to, amongst your social community, amongst the people that you know more, that you see more, then you can be more activist, or then you can be more revealing. Um, And it's kind of like, okay, you kind of know your territory. So this is a Saturn, but the hard aspect can also be negative self-talk. It can also be bickering. It can also be criticism. And then, if it's toxic, this needs to stop. Like that's a no-no. No one will criticize, the appearance or the looks or whatever you want to say. That probably the Saturn is saying that to do something better, to make something better, but they're gonna say it in a way that puts you down. So it's like a person trying to encourage you to get fit. It's like, oh, you got fat, you move this way, you move that way, and you're like, oh, they're narcissistic, they hate me, they don't want me, then you leave them. But or that you secretly think this way about yourself, and then you're extremely offended. That can also happen with the Venus Saturn. And it can be that that person just like feels, oh, she doesn't love me, she doesn't take care of herself, she doesn't do the workout and those things. And then, with the harmonious aspects, it's like, oh, it's easy to see, this is what I can do, this is where I can put my best foot forward to maintain my fitness or maintain my wealth and maintain my well-being, or this is where, the Saturn figure can help me with that. With the hard aspects, it's going to be like, they don't love me. you know like, he or she do not love me, that's why they don't dress up, that's why they don't work out. And they can say they don't love me, so they put me down, so they talk about my appearance or something like that. And that can be like a big chunk of misunderstanding. you know and the Venus wisdom behind that is to try and see how do we say something, or how do we take into account that we are loved and we love, and with loving, try and see what can be sorted out. Like, let's say your partner's been neglecting their health or neglecting their fitness. What's going on there? It doesn't necessarily have to mean that they don't love you. Most likely, it does not mean that, or they don't care about the relationship, or how they look. So that's Venus Saturn. Next up, Venus Uranus. And Venus Uranus harmonious aspects. Oh, I forgot, with the Venus aspect, Venus Saturn with like business, that can be long term. It's long term investments. It doesn't mean that they're not speculative. Like, you could have Venus in Aries and Saturn in Sagittarius. So that can be like an ideology of having speculative business, but you understand that it takes dedication. It's not, speculative is not just gambling, but it does take hard work to look into blue ocean markets or red ocean markets, and repetitively be informed, let's say, about the real estate in the world, about, the stock markets, about, depending on, maybe with the Uranus thing, it's going to be like cryptos, but it's kind of like you understand that you're not going to make money from stocks without investing a lot into that. You're not going to make money from real estate thinking you can buy an apartment and your renters will pay the loan and you get profit, and whatever what the maklers are, the real estate agents are kind of trying to market to you. And just today I had two. It's interesting. Just today I had two conversations, two ladies on the bus, old ladies on the bus. Both of them were apartment owners, and each one of them told me the difficulties that she had with trying to rent her apartment. So one of them told me that, I told her, well, listen, there's a lot of competition. If you do rent your apartment in, so-and-so price, then people are going to come. Like, people are looking for that. And if they have a car, they can, live in a village. But then she said, well, listen, I would not, like, with the bills that I have to pay, I won't make enough money for living. And she also said, like, she tried to rent her apartment, but the people who rented the apartment didn't fix, like, not only they did not keep the apartment okay, that, like, she had to fix things, she had to pay money to fix the apartment. And the other one was like telling me, oh, but they asked for like a 5 years contract that I will not raise the price. She said, I don't know how can I give it to them because of the bills. My bills go up. My bills for the municipality, the energy bills, they go up, and I cannot guarantee that I won't like that I will be able to maintain that it would still be profitable and worth it for me to hold the apartment. And that was very interesting. And there were both older women that had been living in this village for a while. So thinking about, the Venus Saturn is kind of like, with the Venus Saturn, that you're not going to go for these offers. It's like, oh, you buy this house and the renter will pay, the people who rent will pay the bills. You know that if you get into the real estate, you do have to know what you're doing, and not just, listen to what people say, what your bankers say, what, the maklers or the real estate agents say, but what the market says. That is a very good for harmonious aspect. For the hard aspect, it can be like, the Venus person say, oh, why won't we buy, a house and let the renters pay, the makler said, this sounds like a good deal. And the Saturn's like, no way in hell it's going to work. And they're not explaining anything. And then they have to come about and see how do they meet it in their terms. Um, Next up, Venus. Oh my gosh, I really need timestamps for that. If anybody does that, that would be amazing. Venus, Uranus. Easy aspects, harmonious aspects, in the blue aspects. Something unusual, something innovative, something quirky, something a bit rebellious, but in a fun way, about the connection, the business, the style. So I'm trying to think, when I was having Uranus on my Venus, like transiting my Venus, a lot of I tried a lot of like styling things. I suddenly put makeup where I usually don't put makeup, or I would have different clothes, or I would have consider which beauty treatment. Oh, more natural beauty treatments, more natural things. I think I don't know if I already studied aromatherapy by then or not, but that could be, also it's like, oh, taking care of myself in a more natural way. So with the Uranus in Taurus, this can definitely be now the case, but doesn't have to be in Taurus. It just means something different, trying something different about the way you self-care. It can be trying something different about, the kind of people you go out with, the kind of people you choose. How do you manifest a connection? How do you tackle relationships? How do you tackle business? What do you try out? What is new? Something that is unusual for you. There's something unusual about the connection with the harmonious aspect, whether it's going to work or not, where it's going to be just a phase or something that you will adapt to. It's going to be rather benefic. That's going to be something that a slight revolution, that can be like a casual, exciting relationship. It can be like a new investment or like a side hustle that is, amazing for you, and you get to show like another aspect of yourself, or a partner that you have new style of lovemaking, or new style of connection, or perhaps non-monogamous connection is also Uranus thing. Space, a lot of space, or long distance connections, long distance business connections, that can also be significated by Uranus Venus. I think when I had Uranus Venus, I was working for an international business in promoting healthy sexuality and sensual, like cultivating sensual pleasure. So that can be another indication of that. The hard aspect is usually where I would get the calls. They say, Shirley, are we twin flames? Is this my twin flame? Should I marry this person? Are they going to leave their wife, their husband, their whatnot? And, right before I would get this call, or there would be this, usually I would guess that they are talking about a partner who is somewhat unavailable, that there's something unusual about them, that there's something unusual about the relationship. that it's some sort of an affair, that it's some sort of something that's not in the context where it was supposed to happen. Also, in my personal life, I've had this in a context of a dynamic where it was not supposed to happen, but I was like, I was like, it brought so much spark that I was like, oh, maybe there's something that I need to open my mind to here. So you could actually be fooled by that very easily, but also kind of let yourself be fooled sometimes, because those are aspects that can, Uranus, for example, in the seventh or transiting the seventh can indicate divorce. uh, it doesn't mean that, let's say you left a marriage, a long-term marriage, for a new partner. It doesn't have to be a younger partner, but a new partner that triggered something in you that you forgot that you have. It doesn't mean that you will be with that new partner, but there's either something that your soul cries for is ignited. You need to do this, you need to do that. It's like an excavation process. Where I've had it, it was like a reminder that, oh, you love to play guitar, you love to dance, you love to do public speaking, you love to sing, you love to lecture, you love to do all these things. And hey, don't you want to be like a parent, or don't you want to grow a pet? Stop being a dog sitter all the time. Like, well, don't you want to grow a pet? And all these things, they were like, come on, come on. There's something, there's something in there for you. And it's those things that matter. It's the fact that you're on a new path. Like even one of my worst Uranus involved dynamics was like, I was meeting this person, I was doing music, they were doing music, I was doing that while writing and editing. So it was like an excavation of things, but I didn't study back then. I did not have the money to continue on studying. And I studied filmmaking. And listen carefully, that dynamic was very unhealthy. But it kind of like, I had this, oh well, but I didn't do a degree, I didn't study, I didn't finish my degree. And I feel like, okay, that I like doing these things, but there's something missing. I actually got PTSD from that person. I probably gave him PTSD as well. Like, this is not I'm not painting myself as the victim here. We were both victims of this dynamic. But I was like, I got PTSD. I tried all kinds of different work. I, raced to the top of where I could go at work. And then I had the crisis. Then came the 2008 crisis. And then I was like, oh, you can get financial funding for your studies for a first degree. And that was how eventually, like, I agreed to do some treatments that granted me help from the government. And that's how I got my first degree done. So it was like, it's not the harmonious aspect at all, but the mindset is like, good thing, bad thing, who knows? That was like the mindset of that hard aspect, the hard Uranus aspects in general. It was like, it ignited something that kind of put me on a completely different path in life that would change the course of my future. And so those connections, whether they are business connections, whether they are love connections, they can be very confusing. There's a huge Kundalini rise there. They put you on a new path. You study something new, you do something new, an old hobby is being excavated, you start dedicating time to something. There's a new goal in life that you are finally achieving. That, and that is what matters, not the connection. It's a Kundalini rise, okay? Kundalini rise is sexual energy, but it's not necessarily meaning that you have to even sleep with that person. So that's the Uranus hard aspects. And it can also be speculative business that has, sudden losses and sudden gains, or kind of change the way, but there is a certain sort of shock, there is a certain sort of crisis around this. It's kind of like something happened, and now you have to cope with that. And but then there's a hidden blessing, but this blessing is very hidden because at first you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what am I even going to do about that? On a bit of a dark note, Uranus is also related to explosives and to suicide, because often when people have this crisis, it's a sudden loss, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" Perhaps it's death, you know, um, but not necessarily so. It just means that just something is being taken, and right now we have the Uranus with the North Node in the Venus ruled sign in Taurus, um, so around 18, 19 degrees, and that is really about activating, and the moon was activating that eclipse point, so that is really about something being taken away so that the new can come. And this is a Venus ruled, the Rahu is in a Venus ruled sign tropically, so it's good to pay attention to that, especially with Uranus. Venus, Venus, Pluto. Venus Pluto harmonious. Let's say the Venus Pluto harmonious couples are the kind of couples that you see, all dressed in black and wearing skeletons and looking like, I don't know, witchy, satanic, whatnot. But they're kind of lovey-doveys. It's like those people that have really integrated something deep in them, and they know how to tackle that, and they know how to meet each other, and their love, the depth of their love desires are kind of working in harmony, and unless it's hampered by something, it's like that deep bond of something, a deep bond between them. They know how to tackle those Pluto issues in a way that's making the relationship more authentic, more beautiful, more magnetic. Whereas the Venus hard aspects, for me, I have Venus opposition Pluto. I could just look at that and even partially envy that, but not even envy that, because the Venus aspect is like and that's like, okay, what are you going to do now? On a more business perspective, this can be like, I don't know, like I haven't analyzed Melania Trump and Donald Trump, or Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump, which were also a great couple. They're a great business couple. And, rest in peace, Ivanka Trump, of course. But you see that these are two people that it's like they know they're into power. They know they're into great wealth. They know how to work with power. They know what to expect of each other. They know that this is a business relationship in as much as it's a romantic relationship. Or the way you would hear, Ivanka Trump talking about Donald Trump, she was like, there was great love. And then she talks about the divorce. She was like, he treated that as business. So he tried to do, he tried to get the best deal. To fight to whatever, but she's like, okay, that was done. That was like just the business thing. That's like, I haven't analyzed those charts, but I'm for sure I would see a harmonious Pluto Venus there. It's an understanding that this is power dynamic. That is what it is. Radical acceptance that this is what it is. And in that play does not manage to interfere with the friendship and love and care and genuine honesty and authenticity between the couple. So that's like a classic, Venus Pluto. It's like, and it's always good between people of equal power. Or of good power, of good wealth. Melania Trump is not going to go broke if Donald Trump leaves her, if she leaves him, and vice versa. Same with Ivanka Trump. Yeah, she did not go broke in any sort of way. So that's like the business approach. It's like this is business. We know that this is the business game. We accept the business game. We play the business game, and that's that. And it's a very grounded approach. It doesn't ask for the world to be fair. Um, and it radically accepts that the places where the world is not fair. That being said, you know, or with beauty, it can be, you know, decorating yourself with dead things, or let's say wearing leather even, and saying, you know, not that you're not in Alaska, or you're wearing fur and not in Alaska, and you're like, I don't know if that's even a harmonious aspect or not, but it's like, why would you do that? It's like, that's what I like. I'm not, you know, the Pope. That's what I like. It's not ethical. Okay, it's not ethical. That's what I like. So, like, I don't know if that would be a harmonious, but it was like to radically accept that this is Pluto region. This is, you know, my deep, dark desires. This is the places where I have those intense emotions. That's it. You know, that's it. And this radical acceptance is a lot more natural with the harmonious aspects, but with the hard aspects, it's, you know, the why can't we all just get along Venus and the power mongering Pluto, or the authenticity mongering Pluto. But, you know, at first it seems like, unless you're very Plutonian and you're very adept to working with these energies, then some people crave the hard aspects. They're like, oh, this is so deep, it's so intimate, it's so transformative, and so and whatnot. For me, I have Venus in Taurus, and she's like, can you get this Pluto to play rationally, please? Can we go back to just talking about this, please? Can we find a solution that works for our both, please? And and all the deep things that you would say about power and about the Venus being empowered by the oppression, by how dedicated the Pluto being to the oppression, or the dark expression of love that, you know, Venus needs to grow out of loving or whatnot. Um, all of those things are true, but it's sort of like the solution. And with this aspect, it can be, you know, if you work with planetary charity, or the idea that the outer planets are, you know, the work you do for society, that, you know, helping people who coped with those situations, raising awareness to certain sort of dynamics, that can be more the road to go. Also in the business arena, um, those are like very difficult aspects to come to terms with, because oftentimes you can feel like, okay, I've done the work, I've delved into the depth of thingy. How do we get it Venusian? And Pluto's like, we don't. And Venus like, what, do you expect me to live like in a domestic violent relationship? Because that's a no-no. And Pluto's like, no, but these are drives of the human psyche. There are all kinds of emotions. There are all kinds of, and they're like the solutions that seem like that for the harmonious aspects. They're like, they could go for a millennia without even, you know. And speaking, you know, you see me with the Venus opposition Pluto. I'm like, I cannot even tell you what is that solution, because I have this aspect. So if you do know what is that solution, you know, how would the Venus trine Pluto handle that? I don't know. I don't know. So, so that is something that you kind of need to be aware of. And then we have the Pluto Neptune. Harmonious aspect, spiritual love. A love that even perhaps is not only physical or is not physical. Love of arts, creative arts, a business to do with arts, or with singing, or with channeling even. very spiritual, sacred, spiritual kind of. There is a lot of romanticism. There is also a lot of eroticism. Like it's not necessarily like the erotic side of Neptune. It's there big time. Um, and these are the harmonious aspects. You can have the joy of delving into a dream with your partner, or let's say you have a business, so you can have a mythical quality to you, a sort of a mythical glory that you carry, someone who is mysterious, someone who is perhaps elusive, someone who is kind of not of this world, outer worldly glow to your figure, to your reputation, to your business, to you can intuit, like have great intuition about trade, about business, about what is on. That can be another signification of this aspect. With the hard aspects, these are again where I would get the phone, I would get those WhatsApps. It's like, are they my twin flame? I have this connection, and there's always uh, there can be a huge age gap as well. There can be different, like you think you are in love with one person, you don't know what's attracted to you. You think maybe you've had past life as a couple together. Perhaps you've had. Um, there's something that draws you in. It can be also. I'm not saying one-sided because it's usually not one-sided, but it can be a sort of something that in one dimension it's one way, in another dimension it's another way, or but it's very alluring. You fall in love with an ideal. You may notice that you fall in love with an ideal. You experience ideal emotions that this person must have their own attributes, but it's like you have your emotions, and when you run into those attributes, you can't deal with that. You're drawn in, and it's kind of like feels like it's bound to play itself out. Um, so it's a lot about absorbing what Neptune gives. It's absorbing that quality, that romantic quality, absorbing the love absorption. And then when you have that experience, when you do let yourself absorb the love, absorb the experience of being loved, and pay an emphasis on the spiritual connection that you feel that you receive. That way, when you run into that place where you're longing for something that person is just not able to give to you, be it that they are deceitful, or that they are just not the person you thought they are, or that they're like there's some sort of disillusionment, often with these aspects, um, or that there's a sort of therapeutic effect to that, and you understand that this cannot be a relationship because you cannot be the therapist of your partner, and your partner cannot be your therapist. So you can come to a realization of like, what is a give-give? What is an actual give-give relation? And if you did the work of absorbing love, the disillusionment part can be like, okay, I understand that I have that and that to work on, but you've kind of already done a lot of the work because you've already let yourself absorb and gave in, and kind of not submitted, but gave in to the feeling of um, the spiritual connection that you feel without without insisting on trying to make that a 3D. This can also be an astral thing. Like you met in the astrals, you've had this huge thing in the astrals, and you want to meet the person in person. They're married, or they have a girlfriend, or they or boyfriend, or they are just not understanding, or they want to be your friend but not more. Um, so it can be that sort of a thing, but you just need to understand that there was something there. That's something that you received, a certain love that you were open to in that dimension is something that you needed. You can cherish and be thankful for, and let go of meeting the corporal, the desires with this person in 3D, or even in, in spirit, um, and kind of aim for the next. Or if it's something that you realize you need to work on yourself to be in a give relationship, so start doing the work. Start, um, think about, what you want in a relationship, and even if it seems far, so start doing, the step by step work on yourself, or self-care, or promoting your dreams, or connection to spirit. That can also be something very beautiful. If a person is perhaps designed to kind of um, usher you into a path of spirit, or a path that is more uh, attuned to the invisible or to other worlds. So that can be a Neptune thingy. With business, that's a very difficult one, because a lot of scammers who try to get money out of you without paying attention to your current state of wealth, because again, strong addictions are related with Neptune. They're going to try and play it out. You don't have to be a rich person. You can be just a person who have maybe this much wealth, but they're not going to say, let's say you have, $1 million, and you're saving that for your children. Um, and that person brings up something in you, and you feel the spiritual connection, and this and that and that, and that person could be like a scammer, and they don't want, like, $10,000. You could say, okay, maybe they scammed me, but it's money that I can afford to lose. They want 1.5 million. And the way that and you may be in a position where you've had, let's say you had a good relationship with your children, but you've lost your husband. And not only that you've lost your husband, you understand after you've lost your husband that there is something that you didn't celebrate in the relationship with him. There's some grief or some loss that you didn't experience with them. It's like, oh my gosh, I wish I had the chance. And then comes this man who is somewhat reminding you of them, and is triggering all this, and it's kind of like a promise that with this man you will have that. With this man you will have, and maybe even your deceased husband sent this angel to you so that you will have together the love that you did not have with your husband in spirit. And that person wants, $1.5 million. So you're like, okay, I'll take a small loan, and I'll provide for that. And it doesn't make any sense, but under the realm of Neptune, it does. And this is something you really need to kind of be careful about and be aware, because that is, one of the scammers thingy. That sense of oneness that Neptune brings is so powerful, that you want to be able to know that you can always call on spirit. Let's say you can, like, that love is available, and you know that this is not the person that you meet those needs with. From a business perspective, it can be, let's say, a person that is very not technological, and they have an email, and they open the email and they get, the notice from the bank that you want this and that, or you have this and that deposit. And let's say they don't turn to their children, or they don't have, children that they can turn to at this moment, and they just click on the link, and they fill in the details, and they're not even understanding why they're doing that, but then they're being scammed. And it can be like a naive thing, and they were like, later they would think, like, how was I not thinking? But it can be like a naive person, or a person who is undergoing grief and their sense of judgment is not so good, and so that Neptune Venus hard aspect is being triggered, or Neptune is hard aspecting their Venus, and there's another, something to their ascendant or something. Um, and then, like, that happens. So it is a lot to do with loss, it's a lot to do with scheming, it's a lot to do with what you see is not what you get. In the better cases, in the more harmonious aspects, but even with the hard aspects, it does give you a certain spiritual experience that you craved for, and you need to absorb, and you need to accept, and you need to let go of that spiritual experience being more or materializing into something of, it's a Piscean, it's the dissolution of boundaries. It's not a very materially manifesting thing. It's not, it's the higher octave of Venus. It's that oneness, but it's not that, long-term relationship thing. So it's another one that's suspected for, are we twin flames? It's like, perhaps, but what do you know about twin flames? Like, twin flames is also, it's a spiritual growth, it's a spiritual experiment. It doesn't mean that, you get married and have 7 children together right now, or ever. So, loss, longing, the absence of something. That's keywords with Neptune. Yeah, like I'm having Neptune on my ascendant, and there is like more and more awareness of those things that could be like the sense of loss. It's like, oh, you've been a doggy sitter, but you haven't raised a dog of your own since you went out of home. You grew up with dogs. Won't you take a doggy? Or, you like to do all these things. You like to play guitar, you like to paint. What about all these hobbies? Don't you want to invest something? Don't you want to create? Don't you want to have, your paintings in a gallery or whatnot? It's those things. It's those things. It also brought to me, like, for example, I had a colleague that we were friends, and she was doing a manifesting wealth course, and I was like, okay, like when I get some more money, then I'll go there because I just need to, to pay your fee. And then she had another course, and she was like, I really want you, and I told her, listen, I'm not sure I'm able to commit, like I can't commit to you that I will be able to pay for that course. And she said, it doesn't matter. And what I guess her faith was that I'll gain money. It was not a gain money course. It was healing, like something to do with sexuality. And I really took it because I felt like, oh, she want, from my perspective, the Neptune, you're kind of playing tricks on me. It was like, oh, she just wants me to be there because I'm her friend, or she's feeling a call to have me there. And it's like, okay, it's more, if it's important for her, I'll be there. And if I have the cash, I'll contribute. If not, I don't. And she thought probably that I'm either going to somehow gain the cash, even though it was not the money, it's not the wealth course, it's a different course. And she kind of like expected to get paid. So I had to kind of set the boundary there, because I was going through actually losing, the place that I was living in, and looking for a new apartment. And then my expenses, became higher. And it's like I had to set the boundary there. But this was a very Neptune thing, that it's not anybody being necessarily malicious or deceitful, but there's there's deceit in the air. There's something, there's fog in the air, that one person thinking, oh, she probably just wants me to be there as a friend, and she's thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that person, I'm gonna get her, because I was also, public figure. I was like, I'm gonna get her in my course, or whatnot, whatever desire she had. She was sure that she'll get paid, even though I explicitly said I can't commit financially, and I don't commit financially. So those are the kind of things that you can experience with this sort of energy. In the less malefic, or the less deceitful, or in the less kind of malicious kind of energy. So a lot of astrals a lot of spirit activities, a lot of something that isn't what it seemed to be. That's the kind of Venus Neptune. And again, this is where I get the calls of, is this, I have this beautiful guy, but, or, and, and I know that there is a big and to that, and there is a lot of compassion. So compassion is the key word. Compassion with Neptune is the key word for yourself, for anybody involved. With the harder aspects, it's difficult because it might be downright deceit. But then it is compassion for yourself, or to forgive yourself. You say, how was I so stupid? You were not so stupid. You were dragged in, or you were provided with a certain experience that your soul really, really craved and really desired, but it was accompanied by a sense of loss, by a sense of letting go, by a sense of giving into the transience of things, the dissolution, the ocean, the depth of the ocean, the all oneness kind of energy that Neptune rules, that is Piscean. So that is something important to acknowledge, and be compassionate, because compassion eventually is what's going to get you to be accountable. If you're compassionate for yourself, then you don't self-pity anymore. You're being compassionate. You've grown in your ability to love yourself. You're one step up, and you're more ready to be accountable for things, because you're more merciful around. Like you're more compassionate towards it, and you give yourself compassion. And then, magical things can happen in advancement of that. So you might not get that love, you might not get that business deal, you might not get that, beauty treatment or whatnot. You might not get what you thought you would be getting from that, but there was an experience there that you really craved. Not the loss, not the pain, but the joy, the love absorption, the romanticism, the dreamy quality, the poetic quality, that sense of elevated energy that you really needed. And that was really a blessing to have. Just make sure that, the more you allow yourself to absorb that without trying to place kind of mundane demands over that experience, for that to be a relationship, for that to be a business, for that to be, even with channeling. I was doing channeling, and then I had like interference in my channel. And then I was offering, channeling as a service. I was updating my pricing, because it was like it's energy exchange. And then I had to debate like whatever I was channeling with that. And then, kind of certain figures like expose themselves as, kind of hacking into the systems. And it was like, okay, until I clear those channels, I currently cannot do or offer, channeling. Fortunately, I have other skills, but the experiences that I had during that experiment, whether some of them were telepathy, whether some of them were fooling around or not, there were a lot of them. I stopped it when it stopped being beautiful. You know. What is here? I think I did. Yeah. Okay. I stopped it when it stopped being beautiful. But kind of like my ability to kind of accept that, hey, I'm not perfect. So perhaps some of the things that I thought I was channeling, I don't know, creation or something like that, was a telepathic person running stunts. And it was like, okay, that happens. Hey, I've been pranked. It's okay. And when it comes to business, it's like, okay, I studied astrology not just as a channeler, but there are other principles that I adhere to, and then I can take the pricing of an astrologer and offer readings in $50 that I was not able to do when I was channeling, because I had to debate, spirit or my people who pranked me, whatever, the pricing. And so that, that kind of disillusionment now with Neptune retrograde, it's like the disillusionment of, oh my gosh, I have this beautiful connection with the creation that is so available for everyone. And I'm like, yes, and. um, but I don't feel regret. I don't feel a fool. I don't feel bad with myself. I don't feel, oh my gosh, how did I not see that? Like, I felt that I was afraid to ask who am I channeling. I felt that I was really giving into that dream equality. I felt that there were a lot of beautiful things that did happen. And I felt that when that began to be not to my liking, I just woohoo, that not that banish that. Um, and that's that. That's another thing that can happen with Neptune transits, but also with Venus Neptunes. I think that's that for wisdom, like Venus wisdom on a Venus day. I believe we are already in Saturn hour. Not sure. It's a Friday here. So if you're watching this, first, I'd appreciate timestamps. Oh my gosh, I'd appreciate that. Let me know what resonated with you because I said so much. If you have questions, if you have things that you want me to talk about, I'm so happy to be live. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be live. Um, so that's a first for me. Thank you, YouTube, for allowing live streams also for people who don't have like a billion subscribers. It came right on time for me, and right when I talk about, Venus and the outer planets, and I had not enough memory in my cell phone, my computer kind of like, doing stunts with filming and getting stuck, and then I'm like, what if I try to go live stream and probably can't, and boom, that. And this is, oh my gosh, this is exactly Neptune, not Neptune, this is exactly the Rahu Uranus conjunction. Like something new in technology. Oh, I can do live streams now on YouTube. It's just something very small. And the moon was triggering those eclipse points. So it was like, I can't record on my phone videos for an hour. I can't record on my computer 1 hour videos. I will have to do it through Zoom or something. But I can do live streams. I couldn't do that before. And I'm so excited. And that's a new media. And it's on a Venus day. And Venus is in Cancer. And as you can see, I'm so excited and so verbal. And 1 hour talking about everything Venus related. So this is my fifth house, which is also romance, but it's also gambling, it's also children, and it's also leisure time. So of course, as you can see, I'm very emo about my fifth. So you can catch me on Twitter. I'm Tali Shear. On Instagram, it's Shirley Youngblood. Do take requests. I'd really appreciate if you drop a line in the comments. I know I'm saying that after an hour, and I hope you're still watching after an hour. I had like this viewer that was coming and going, and then another viewer, and I was like, yeah, that's so cool. So I'm going to test these live thingies that's new and available, and I don't have to use my own memory to record a video. That's the pro, and I do like to just open the camera and speak. I'm being extremely verbal today. I think I spoke for 4 or 5 hours today to myself. Before I speak to you, I usually go out, go to my kitchen or speak to myself in my bed, and I look really funny, and yeah. And I do the readings. It's $50 for a reading, and I am in the blue. That means that I emphasize to you the harmonious aspects that you do have to hone in on, because they're going to help you to cope with, and even sometimes prevent, if that's possible, or come to a good resolution in whatever it is that you are dealing with in relation to the hard aspects in your chart or in your transits. And that's like my shining zone, to shine the light on what's possible, to shine the light on the opportunities, to shine the light on the things that are okay. in your world. So that's very healthy for, you know, our mental and emotional state, not from a sense of downplaying whatever is genuinely needing tending to. Like if you need to go through purging or through the more difficult like aspects or the depth of aspects, and I'm not going to hide that from you. I'm not going to downplay that. I'm not going to say that, you know, that there are not things that are just difficult to deal with. But I am the in the light, in the blue, the blue aspects kind of. Oh, you got this thing going on, or you can hone in on this thing, or this is where you get in support from, and that's something important to remember. So these are the type of readings that I offer. If it looks like that's something you would like to receive from an astrologer, then I'm your go-to person. If you're kind of looking for the person who's going to tell you, you know, you're going to die at 73 from a kidney failure, it's going to take 3 days, and your son-in-law is not going to make it to visit you, then I'm probably not one. So have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye-bye. Stop streaming, okay.